Now that the New Year's madness is over, it's time to work on your story for 2018. LegalZoom can help you make this the year you finally get serious about launching and running your own business. It can also help you rest a little easier knowing that your family's future is squared away with the right estate plan. As a matter of fact, LegalZoom has been helping people just like you take care of their dreams and responsibilities for more than 16 years. Now, LegalZoom is not a law firm, but they have the resources to keep you on the right path, including advice from their nationwide network of independent attorneys, all at your fingertips. Whether you want to take your business to the next level or take control of your family's future with an estate plan, LegalZoom plugs right into your life without billing you by the hour, because at LegalZoom, all pricing is given up front. Start writing your 2018 story with LegalZoom right now. Go to LegalZoom.com/Golic and get special savings. That's LegalZoom.com/Golic. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. LegalZoom.com/Golic.
Hello, I'd like to deposit this to checking.
Fate is a fickle master.
What?
The future is uncertain.
Okay, and what's my account balance?
The horizon is cloudy. I see a long, treacherous voyage filled with great peril.
Look, can I just get a deposit slip or something?
A fortune bank teller. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I see a yellow-eyed serpent and a low APR.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Glad you're with us on a Wednesday morning. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We got a lot to get to.
We do.
Coming up a little later on this hour, Joe Thomas, Browns tackle. We believe still the Browns tackle.
That is such an interesting scenario with him coming off after 10,000 and plus consecutive plays.
Which is ridiculous.
A major injury to his triceps, and surgery to where you're not lifting for a little while. And then to decide, I've been doing this a long time. He can walk into any media outlet he wants when he's done. Right. He's so good. Do you want to keep doing it?
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going out there through the rehab, which he's never had to do to this magnitude? And keep playing the game. Going to be really, really interesting.
Again, he'll join us in studio. I'll be on with him on NFL Live. He was on yesterday. They did a really fun bit with him, which we'll run back when he's on here. Herm Edwards will join us at 9:05. My road dog, who's now the head coach at Arizona State, trying to get things going there. And, of course, we'll talk to him about the Eagles. He has experience. Mm-hmm. He was part of the Eagles in Super Bowl 15. They lost to the Raiders 27-10. And then James Patterson, the author, who sold over 300 million books, will join us in the 9:30 hour. And he's written a book about one of the teams, about one part of one of the teams that is playing in Super Bowl Sunday.
I would love to have sold over 300 million books.
I would love to have 300 million of anything. Probably 300 million of dollars is what I would really like.
Would like that the most.
Would you rather sell 300 million books or have 300 million dollars?
I'd rather sell 300 million books.
Right.
You know how much money I'm getting out of that?
800 million.
That's exactly right.
I failed to put those two together. Nicely done. So that's all ahead. But we are delighted.
We just heard legs jump in on that one, didn't we?
I mean, I did the math on that. I know what a book goes for.
Mama didn't raise no dummy over there. Our NBA analyst Tim Legler joins us in studio, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Now, for those that don't have a long-term memory, they may not understand that Legs and I go way back here.
Oh, yeah.
The 1 year I did the NBA Tonight was the 2002-2003 season before I started NFL Live in summer of 2003, where I met some slappy named Golic.
Yeah.
We worked together 1 year, and we were always on like midnight or 2 a.m. on ESPN2. We got a little loopy. We got a little loopy doing those shows.
It was good times, though.
It was good fun.
Name That Import? Are you kidding me?
Name That
I
Import.
still get people that will ask me about Name That Import.
That was right when the influx of international players were coming on. And we didn't know who any of these guys were.
And he'd read 3 facts from one of their bios, and I'd have to guess who he was talking about.
And
my
gosh,
so
that's
obscure.
great.
And it only related to a foreign player.
Yeah.
And they would show a silhouette of the guy. Yeah. And I never knew. I literally, so I think I missed every time.
Well, I did purposely make them as vague as possible.
Yes.
That's absolutely
good times,
true.
Now we have Fran Fraschilla to go over there.
Exactly right. That would be my lifeline.
That's exactly right.
We sent Jeff Goodman to wherever the balls are. We're in Lithuania, Latvia, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, so always good to see you. Always good to hang out with you again. So, yes, I do. Real quickly, we've been talking a little bit about the Cavs. First of all, people know you as a three-point shooting champ. That was your thing, 1996. Would you, in 1996, if Instagram was a thing, congratulate yourself on Instagram before you won the 3-point shooting contest?
I barely use Instagram now, so I would say no. There's a good chance I wouldn't be writing letters to myself on Instagram.
I mean, we don't have much of a problem.
When my son was in it, who's 28, so it's a different era there. Yeah. For me to not, I don't want to sound like that old guy on the porch. I think that's the era now. This is there's way more sometimes oversharing and over communicating, but I'm not going to sit there and lose any sleep over it. Why do you got a problem with it?
Doesn't bother me. It's the way the world operates now. It really doesn't bother me one way or another. It's funny because a lot of times I don't even pay attention to that, and until someone asks me a question on one of these formats about something that somebody tweeted or put on Instagram or whatever it may be, and then I talk about it. But for the most part, I don't pay attention to what those guys do.
No, it shouldn't be. Okay, but what does concern you and what you do pay attention to is what we're seeing out of Cleveland. And you just said something before we came on the air that I thought was pretty striking about the problems they're having, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, it's flat out a lack of effort. I mean, it's galling. It jumps out at you. Like, when you watch an NBA game most nights, you don't typically sit there and go, wow, that team's just not playing very hard. These are professional athletes. But when I watch the Cavs, that's what jumps out. It's not acceptable level of effort to beat anyone. But much less when you play teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio and the better teams in this league. And that's what I see out of Cleveland right now. There's an erosion of trust that's going on in the court because guys are getting hung out to dry defensively because there's just not effort being committed to help. So that then becomes a chain where, you don't help me, I'm not helping you, and you end up with this sieve defensively like they have. And then offensively, they've got problems too because they've got a roster full of one-dimensional players besides LeBron James. Isaiah Thomas will help when he gets right. He's not close to what he was a year ago, but the rest of their roster is made up of guys that really do one thing each. That's what separates a team like Golden State, where they've got 6 or 7 guys that do everything offensively. And so when you look at Cleveland now, they look older, slower, smaller. And on top of it, the lack of chemistry that they have, you end up with this kind of a rut, and it's more than a rut. It's something's got to change personnel-wise, I believe.
It's not a great combination. One of the players on the Cavs, kind of from the old guard faction, said there just what you said. There's no trust out there on the court. It's the worst it's ever been. So they've always been able to, for lack of a better term, flip that switch when it comes playoff time. And you're saying this is more about effort than X's and O's. So again, can they just flip the switch when the playoffs come around like they have in the past?
I don't think so this year. I don't think it's effort and personnel. So there's a lot of talk out there that, about George Hill potentially, maybe DeAndre Jordan. So if they make some changes that way and bring in some guys that can guard and give you a little bit of an infusion of energy and make you feel like they looked at themselves and reinvented themselves midseason, yeah, I'll say okay. They still at the end of the day have LeBron, so you're not going to write them off, but more than any year, I look at them and say, this isn't a January swoon like we talk about with this team. It's a lot more than that. Boston's going through a little bit of a January slump, a midseason thing. That's not the case with Cleveland. This has been going on for too long, and it also was the way they started the year. They masked it because they made a ton of threes for about 6 weeks, and it masked all their defensive problems because they shot the ball incredibly well. Now you're seeing them be exposed, I think, for what they really are. Where I wouldn't pick them to beat Boston right now, I'm not sure I'd pick them to beat the Toronto Raptors right now. So I'm not going to write them off because of 23, but a lot's got to change between now and the time we get to the postseason.
Tim Legler with us, our NBA analyst. Okay, so obviously they've had there's a lot to get into with Cleveland. You said if things don't change. Is there a trade to be made that can change them?
Well, look, some people might think it's a minor trade, it sounds like. You bring in a George Hill for Channing Frye and Amon Shumpert. That's a significant improvement for the Cleveland Cavaliers because, number one, George Hill plays both ends of the floor. He's a veteran. He's played in a ton of playoff games. He guards the ball. He's got length on the perimeter defensively. Right now, the guys that they have on the perimeter to guard, they're either too slow, too old, or too small. Okay,
bad combination.
It really is in basketball.
When you got all three, it's not.
I don't know what that combination of adjectives works well in life. I don't know, but it doesn't work well in the NBA. George Hill answers some of that. He's got good size at the point. He can guard multiple positions. He can make threes playing off of LeBron and Isaiah Thomas. It's a significant improvement, particularly when Shumpert and Channing Frye you have no use for right now. They have too many guys on that team
that do the same thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're not even using them. So why not? You get rid of 2 guys that you're not using, bring in a guy that can help you immediately. DeAndre Jordan's name keeps getting floated out there. I don't know how serious or significant that is, and I'm not sure what they would give back in return that the Clippers would be interested in.
So as far as this team meeting that went on, you've been part of team meetings, I've been part of team meetings. Does anything in your mind really
Okay, fine. I haven't been part of a team meeting. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You know what? We'll invite you to the next team meeting.
Trey's been involved in
I'll be the one that everyone blames, right?
See,
I'll be the guy.
Here's the difference.
I'll be your Kevin Love.
Here's the difference of sports team meetings and what meetings you've been involved in family meetings where you have no say.
Correct.
In a sports team meeting, does anything really get done? Or as I've seen a lot of times, other things that the intent of the meeting wasn't supposed to be for get brought up, and sometimes things get even worse.
You know, honestly, I wonder if you ever had this experience. The only team meetings I was ever a part of that actually had an impact on the way we played from when we left that room were when collectively you didn't really like the head coach. And so you come to a determination you're going to play in spite of him. And you rally around this commonality that we don't think we're being led the right way. We don't like the guy. So let's go out there and do it.
Band together.
Let's do it for us. Right. In that situation, I've actually seen it work. And I've actually, all the years I've coached at AAU and those teams I had, there were times I tried to become a jerk to them so that they would get mad enough at me that they would play in spite of me. So sometimes that can work. But for the most part, when you go in there and you start talking about specific players in that room who are sitting there, and front office is in the room, the head coach is there, I think that's a formula for disaster. So I was really surprised at the way they handled it. Clearly, not a lot got done because last night
the results were pretty much the
they
same.
were sleepwalking again up and down the floor. I mean, this team changes ends like they are in a preseason second practice of a 2-a-day. They have no urgency whatsoever to get back and make teams actually have to work to score against them.
Well, so how do you, because that I find that fascinating because LeBron is seen as this, and you're not pointing at LeBron specifically, but he's part of this team. He's seen as the ultimate competitor, the ultimate warrior, the guy who works out constantly. I mean, he's chiseled out of granite at this point when you look at the way he's put together. How can someone get them to try harder?
It's a good question. And, I've actually done a couple of touchscreens, and one of them really specifically focused on LeBron. It was in the Toronto game and his lack of effort getting back and leading that way. And I think what happens is for a guy like LeBron, who's one of the elite defenders in this league when he's locked in, it's almost like he's going, what difference does it make? And the problem is when it's coming from him, now you've got a serious issue because there's no accountability anywhere anymore. At least LeBron, when he's locked in and setting the example himself, he can make guys a lot more accountable. And right now, it's everybody on that team. And the guys that are playing hard, they're not athletic enough to impact the game defensively. So, but they still care, but it's just not going to matter. So, it's an absolute mess. Teron alluded last night there's going to be changes made to the starting lineup, and they asked me to do that on SportsCenter today. Who would you start? I looked at their team, and I went, I'd start Mark Price. I'd start Ron Harper. I'd start Brad Doherty.
So this is a different.
If you could get Larry Nance and roll him back in his prime, I'd get him.
Craig Elo.
Yeah. John Hot Rod Williams. you name it. Okay.
World be free.
Right, exactly.
Let's go. Let's go completely old school.
Austin Carr, if you want. Okay.
Let's go.
We'll keep going back as far as you want, baby. But I looked at their lineup and I went, I don't know. Right now, the way they're playing is much more significant than who they're
playing. Gotcha.
So that's what it comes down to for me.
So in the long run of this, for Cleveland fans out there of the Cleveland Cavaliers, me being one of them, being from Cleveland, who have tried to shield off the LeBron is leaving, and I would say LeBron wants to win championships, and to do that, you have to get to the championship, and Cleveland's still his best chance. If it were to just fall apart and they don't even make the championship this year, is it a complete foregone conclusion? You think he'll be gone then?
I think he could be. I think regardless what happens.
You do.
And, I've never seen, personally, a roster constructed in such a way that one free agent affects the team the way he does. Because you think about this, they don't have a single player on their team that is part of their future.
Wow.
Think about it. That's the scariest thing in the world.
Which is why they're holding on to that number one pick of Brooklyn.
Right. If LeBron leaves, then Isaiah Thomas isn't worth it to them. Look at the rest of their team. They're all guys that complement one player. If LeBron James leaves, they are literally hitting the reset button and going nuclear like you haven't seen, and then hoping that that pick turns into a franchise player. But it's looking more and more like that won't be a top 3 pick, and who knows what that could end up being. So it's going to be fascinating to watch what happens with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But right now, Boston, to me, is the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference, and Cleveland has plenty of time to change my mind.
Tim Legler with us, NBA analyst in studio. We'll get to the All-Star reserves and the mounting problems in San Antonio in about 30 seconds, Mike. But first,
Dollar Shave Club not only gives you an amazing shave, but they also make products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need, and it's all their own original stuff. They got you covered head to toe. And right now, you can get your first month of their best razor along with travel-size versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and other great products for just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the DSC starter set for $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/Golic. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Golic.
Okay, so Tim Legler still with us in studio. We always look at the All-Stars, and there's always the guys that made it that you were a little shocked at, and then the snubs. Biggest snub for you on the All-Star reserves, who do you think it was? Was it Andre Drummond?
I'm going to be honest with you. This is the first year. This is by far, in the 17 years I've been here, the closest it's been to absolutely 100% accurate.
Really?
If there's one guy I would have liked to see make it, was Goran Dragic. So who comes off then? You know, you have to have that answer. I would say it was a toss-up between he and Kyle Lowry. I think Kyle Lowry's name and reputation and Toronto having a better record really helped him. But look at Miami, you know, being 6-7 games, whatever they are, over 500, the way they started the year. Goran Dragic is their best offensive player. I thought he should have got more consideration. Out west, Lou Williams, no question, has a strong case to be made. But if he makes it, who comes off? Do you say, you know, one of the two Warriors guys? Is it Clay or Draymond Green? Do you take one of them off the team for Lou Williams? I can't make that case. So maybe they just need more spots in the West. In the East, that's the only, to me, toss-up was Dragic and Kyle Lowry.
So no Drummond, you didn't think?
No.
Drummond leading the league in rebounds and most double-doubles?
Even if he did those backflips after every point?
He got really mad on
because
Twitter
overall,
well.
To me, that team is pretty disappointing most nights because I think they've got better talent than the record indicates.
Again, only one player on both rosters comes from a losing team, and that's Porzingis.
And by the way, this is the first time since I've been here that they got all 10 starters right.
You think all 10? So not only the reserves you like, but you like all 10 starters.
Those are absolutely the right 10 guys. And,
wow.
And that never happens.
That's the Tim Legler seal of approval.
Good job out of them. All right, so we're talking about Cleveland. If LeBron leaves and then there's no future player on that team, a team that has been able to just keep doing it year after year after year is the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
Now, is there a little riff with Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich? And also that roster is old. I mean, it is old. The players that they count on are old. So are we possibly looking at a big turnover in San Antonio very soon?
I think it's a little bit overblown right now. I've been surprised at the whole thing when people talk about a riff and a disconnection and Kawhi Leonard's unhappy. And I go, well, how can you tell? The guy doesn't speak.
He doesn't.
Like, I don't, how do you know Kawhi Leonard's upset? I'm really curious about that.
Body language, we're observing, we're feeling it out.
His right eyebrow went up slightly. I think he's not really feeling it. I don't know. Greg Popovich tried to downplay it last night. I think there's more truth in what Greg Popovich had to say than what this story has sort of turned into. Kawhi Leonard has always seemed like a guy to me that is going to play his entire career in San Antonio and be very happy doing it. He's that rare guy that totally buys into what they're all about. Now, you're right about some of their veteran guys moving on here, but you drafted DeJounte Murray at the end of the first round.
Right.
He's going to be your next point guard. LaMarcus Aldridge is still in his prime. Obviously, Kawhi is one of the best players in the game. So they still have enough to rejuvenate. And they're filling the piece role players around that. Greg Popovich has always been amazing at finding guys, getting the most out of them. I don't think San Antonio's going away anytime soon. And I honestly think this story with Kawhi Leonard is going to go away completely once he gets back on the court and starts doing his thing every night.
All right, so then there's the idea of Jason Kidd out in Milwaukee after 4 years. They've got one of the young, absolute superstars in the league locked up through I think, the next 3 years. Giannis is there. How good is that job in Milwaukee?
Well, here's the thing. You obviously have a player like Antetokounmpo that makes you excited as a head coach, right? Because he checks.
And there's other talent on that roster.
There is, absolutely. I mean, you've got Brogdon there. They just picked up Bledsoe.
Right.
Thon Maker's a great role player that can defend all over the floor. Jabari Parker's going to come back. Chris Middleton is averaging 20 points a game. It's a lot there, but Antetokounmpo, is obviously the linchpin. He checks off every box. Problem is, Are you going to ever be able to get and recruit a big-time free agent to come to Milwaukee to play with Antetokounmpo? That's the challenge that the Bucks face. And that's not a knock on the city or the organization. It's just a fact. You don't hear the Bucks come up in the summer when guys are on these free agent tours, do you? I mean, every year there's 2 or 3 guys, and they go make their 4 or 5 visits, and we cover it every single day, and they're the big names in the game when their deals are up. You don't hear Milwaukee come up in that. And there's 6, 8 other cities that never get mentioned.
Can Minnesota come up in that?
See, I think Minnesota's a lot closer because they've got more than one good player.
Right.
And they've got a coach now that I think guys would want to play for because you're buying in that they're going somewhere special. But there are a lot of cities in this league that are in the same boat. You have to draft perfectly when you get those high picks. And then the hardest part, can you re-sign them after their 4th year?
Right.
Like Philly's going to find this out with some of their young talent. Are they going to be able to keep those guys long term? It's one thing to draft them. It's another thing to keep them. And Milwaukee's going to be in that boat. So, yes, their talent gets you excited, but sometimes it's going to take adding that big-time player in the summertime to really get you over the top, and I don't know if they'll be able to do that.
All right, so there's not hope for Cleveland, according to Tim Legler, but he thinks that barring a miraculous change, you think Boston might be the team that comes out of
Yes, a stat that I saw the other day really blew me away, which is this. They've beaten the top 6 teams in the league in their building. They're 6-0. None of those teams have gotten to 100 points.
And choking with defense, yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing that's sustainable. It's like a strong running game and stopping the run in football. Yeah. If you can keep people down, you can hold home court. Boston right now, to me, would be the favorite.
Legs, as always.
Thanks,
good
Legs.
to see you.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Good to be
The
here.
great Tim Legler, ladies and gentlemen. One of the great mullets of all time. Check him out on Instagram. Oh, wait, he doesn't really do that.
Mike Golick here. ADT, the #1 security company, can now help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Get started with the ADT Starter Kit professionally installed for only $49. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with 24/7 emergency response for free with any ADT security system. Go to ADT.com/podcast to learn more today.
Requires 36-month monitoring contract, QSP and EasyPay. Activation and early termination fees may apply. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com. Additional charge for ADT Go premium services after March 31st, 2018.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Golick and Wingo with you on a Wednesday morning on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And then we get people in studio
yes,
like
we do.
This guy. Browns left tackle Joe Thomas in studio giving us a Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. By the way, we're going to have a Twitter view with Joe. So keep your questions on Twitter, the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Submit your questions, and we'll have those a little bit later. But, we're talking about all the struggles with the Cavs.
Yes, we are.
And what they need to do right.
Yeah.
Just have Joe play. That probably would fix everything.
Joe, have you ever played basketball?
I did in high school. I was a basketball guy. I
Use your flaws as well.
Yeah, I actually thought basketball was going to be my sport because when I was 14, I'm 6'7", 220 pounds.
Right.
But then I stopped growing up and just started growing out, and it turned into football.
I still think you could turn around the Cavs right now. I think we get Joe.
Yeah.
Hashtag get Joe to the Cavs.
I'm going to say
start a trend.
Hand in the dirt worked a little better.
Yeah, it was a little bit better career path for me.
It's worked out well for you. And look, Mike's son played offensive line in college. My son played offensive line in college. So we marveled at the 10,000 consecutive snaps. And people, I don't think people that don't really understand football understand the significance of that streak, which obviously ended with the torn tricep. But, a broken shoelace could have taken you off the field for a snap. Now that it's sort of something that you can look back at, do you marvel at all how you were able to do that for 10,000, 39, I think, consecutive snaps on the field?
When I think back to everything it's not the injuries that I was able to avoid. It's those weird things, like you mentioned.
Right.
The shoe falls off. You're laying there and you get a cramp in your hamstring or your calf. Or they just pull you out for a play because you're winning in the game and they don't want you to get hurt at the end of a game that is a blowout.
There's a joke there that I won't make, Joe.
Yeah. There wasn't many of those blowouts in my career, but there was at least one time. But yeah, it is amazing that I think a lot of luck kind of did go into that streak.
So now that you're rehabbing an injury that cost you time on the field for the first time in that situation, forgetting the physical part of it, you're a football player. You've had other injuries that you've had to rehab. What did that do to you mentally?
Well, during the season, there was a lot of ups and downs watching my team from the sideline, watching them at practice, not being fully part of the team. One part of me said, well, this is fun being a fan where I can really enjoy Sundays watching my team and I can cheer and I can go through that emotional roller coaster that a fan goes through that as a player you try to avoid because that negatively affects your game preparation and your focus when you're sitting on the sideline. But then there is times when you're standing there and you're saying, man, I really know I could help my team right now and I wish I was out there. But right now I'm just kind of enjoying the rehab process. I was able to sort of ramp things up as of last week after I saw the doctor and he said things are going well. So as far as the rehab process goes, I'm feeling pretty good about things.
And where does that put you in your mind about going forward and continuing to play?
Yeah, I haven't really been able to come to a decision yet because I want to be 100% one way or the other. I've watched a lot of professional football players especially think that they're ready to retire and they retire and then they unretire and they go back and forth and they waffle. And I just want to be sure one way or the other before I make an announcement because for me, it's going to be a final announcement. I don't feel like the type of person that's going to waffle back and forth.
We want that announcement right now. Yeah. We want it right now on Golic and Wingo. You must tell us.
A couple things about that. Do you, and I think I know the answer to this as far as a day, but a kind of a timetable on when, once you can start training full go, on how long that would go on before you kind of know?
As far as like being healthy with the elbow?
Yeah,
or?
whether you're going to come back or not. I mean, do you have a timetable on from your perspective, the team perspective, on when you want to?
Yeah, I definitely want to give them an answer before free agency starts, before the draft, because I think it's important for them just for this season. Obviously, I'm 33 years old. I'm going into the final season of my contract. So they're going to have to prepare for a new left tackle much sooner rather than later, whether it's this year or the following year. So it's not like they have no plans at my position, but I think they just want to know for this year's makeup of the team whether I'm going to be there or not.
And one thing, I know you're married. We met your wife down in Orlando, and Trey and I are married, and we all know how it works, that we don't run the house. The wives do. So what's your wife's input on this?
Yeah.
Is she completely, this is up to you, or what is her offering in this?
She's been pushing me to retire for about 7 years now. So she's like, this
so
football thing is great.
Yeah,
So clearly I have at least 51% of the vote on whether I come back or not. But the rest of things, I'm only a 49%er in the household, as you guys know. But I think for me, it's making the right decision for everybody that's involved. But as I've kind of whittled the reasons to come or to go down, I think for me it's going to really be just the health of my body. Can I survive another season? I've had 4 knee surgeries since I started playing in college, and I've got a bad back. So it's really those injuries more than the elbow that would cause me to not be able to play another
I think
season.
that's what people need to realize is the injury that cost you snaps. Some may think that's your only injury. There are other injuries, so the wear and tear on your body over the years. Yeah.
So this year I had my elbow surgery. Year before I had knee surgery. Year before that I had knee surgery. So there's not much left you could take out of this knee anymore to make it better. So really that's been kind of the thing that's been hampering me in my last 3 or 4 years more than anything.
Well, look, whatever your decision is, we want you to be at peace with it.
Yep.
But, you said your wife is 0 for 7. Maybe make her go 0 for 16. Just throwing that out there.
That's just
sorry.
horrible.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
it's a
that's hurtful.
joke.
That's hurtful.
The producers made me do it. I'll stick to that, even though that's not true. Okay, so let's move away from what you're going to do, and let's talk about the Browns. Obviously, you have said you wanted to be there for the turnaround. You've been an unbelievably professional player when it comes to this. As our old teammate here, Mark Starr, used to say, just because you get paid doesn't mean you're a pro. You've been a pro's pro throughout your entire career. So now let's put you on the spot. Browns have the 1st and 4th overall picks. You're your new GM, John Dorsey. Where do you think the team should go?
Mm-hmm. If I was the GM, what I would do, we have $118 million in cap space, so we got plenty of money to do whatever we want. But I would actually sign Kirk Cousins, and then I would use the 1st and 4th pick on the best players available, probably Saquon Barkley and one of the defensive players. So I'm not exactly sure where they go, where they rank all the quarterbacks, but for me, I would rather sign Kirk Cousins because we have the money. Then you don't have to waste a draft pick to trade for a guy like Alex Smith, who is one of the other names that's out there. Obviously, the connection with John Dorsey. So for me, I think you sign Kirk Cousins and then you draft Saquon Barkley and the best defensive player available. All of a sudden, you're a heck of a lot better immediately overnight.
And talk, because again, when you say 0-16, you're going to say, well, there's no talent on this team. There's talent on this team. So you're saying if you get a veteran guy in there, you can really get that process going quicker because there is other talented players on both sides of the ball.
There's no doubt. We took a number of teams to the wire last year, and I'm not going to say, we were a great team or anything like that, but we were a lot closer to getting a few wins than people thought.
I would agree with that.
And as everybody knows in the NFL, as your quarterback goes, your team goes. So the better your quarterback plays, he's going to raise the level of everybody's play. It's like, when the tide comes in, all the boats rise. That's really what your quarterback is. So he plays better, everyone else plays better. So you get a veteran quarterback in there playing well. Everybody's going to play a little bit better, and all of a sudden you're sitting in there 8-8 or right in the playoff hunt.
Well, then there's the thought of a veteran quarterback to a rookie. You had DeShone Kizer. And listen, I was rooting for the guy. I went to Notre Dame.
I really like DeShone.
Listen, it has nothing to do with who it is. It's a rookie. And you played with a few rookie quarterbacks. So talk about that from the mental side of, okay, it's a rookie quarterback. So is it thought now we know we have to go through a growing process here?
Yeah, and one thing I love about John Dorsey is right when I sat down with him the first time, he said, I don't believe in playing rookie quarterbacks. I mean, he did that in Kansas City last year, even though he drafted Patrick Mahomes. He was going to play Alex Smith. And so he's going to bring in a veteran quarterback to play because he understands as a rookie, you're just not prepared to win in the NFL if you're going to ask him to drop back. Now, if you're Russell Wilson and you're going to run around and make plays with your feet, that's a different animal right there because that's not really your true quarterback where he's dropping back, reading the defense, going through progressions. But for me, I think as a quarterback, when you're a rookie, it takes 3 years before you're really proficient enough in the NFL to be able to stand back there, pick apart a defense, and move your team down the field consistently. I think of it like being a doctor. You graduate, you're undergrad, you're in pre-med, you're not ready to go do surgery on somebody. You still need 3 years of sort of hands-on practice. Because there's really that much to learn when it comes to being an NFL quarterback. It's so much different than being a college quarterback.
All right, Joe Thomas with us, and we're going to have his Twitter view coming up in a little bit. But you said you go and get Kirk Cousins. Okay, to go and get Kirk Cousins, you have to convince him to come to Cleveland.
I've got about 35 million reasons why you should come to Cleveland.
But besides that, make the pitch. How would you get Kirk Cousins to Cleveland?
Well, I think the easy pitch is, first of all, you're going to love Cleveland. Mike knows it's a great city.
It's
a city on the rise.
Like
everyone likes to make fun of Cleveland, but it really is a great city. I've made my home there for 11 years, and we love it there. We've got the best NFL fans. I think we have $118 million in cap space. We've got all these draft picks.
And you could take most of it.
That's right. We could give you $100 million this year. How does that sound, Kirk? That's the end. That's the close. But outside of all those things, this fan base in Cleveland is so passionate that if you were the face of the franchise, which the quarterback will be, and you turn this thing around and you take us to a couple playoffs, I mean, Bernie Kosar is still a legend there, and he never won a Super Bowl. You win a Super Bowl, you're going to have 3 statues in town.
Yeah, well, Josh Allen sort of alluded to that. The potential number 1 pick, the quarterback out of Wyoming.
And you got a new old coordinator in Todd Haley who's going to call the plays, and he's had success. Obviously, he's had the talent in Pittsburgh to have some of the higher ranking offenses. So, that as well.
No one has ever questioned Todd's ability to dial up plays.
Right.
There's no, except maybe not enough quarterback sneaks in Pittsburgh.
There you go.
That would be a separate issue entirely.
6'5", 260-pound quarterback.
All right, Joe's staying with us.
Yeah.
We've got questions for him, and we've got questions that you sent in for Joe's Twitter view. Gold and Wingo here with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Browns left tackle Joe Thomas in studio with us. By the way, I owe you 1,000 apologies, or actually about 340 apologies, because I shorted you. I said 10,039 snaps. It was 10,363.
Yeah, you did.
So that's on me, and I apologize for that.
I don't want to say anything, but
it should have been. I mean, it should have been. I wouldn't have made it through 3 snaps.
Well, there was one time you came on the show and we had said you'd miss one play, and you highly disputed that. It was for the play. It was a fake field goal or something.
It was
like
a
that.
fake punt.
A fake punt. Yes,
fake punt.
They were trying to take away from him as they play on the field.
Oh, hell no.
He fought that battle and won. Yeah,
we're having none of that.
None of that. Yeah.
We are having none of that here on Golic and Wingo as Joe Thomas is with us. Okay. You want to play the Twitter review game?
Let's do it. Yeah.
We asked you guys on our Twitter feed at 1-800-Flowers.com. Send in your Twitter review questions for Joe. Why don't you lead us off?
Let's go. Michael wants to know, is a hot dog a sandwich?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It is the universal puzzler.
Well, I think if you can put a hot dog on a piece of bread, it's a sandwich. But I don't really like hot dogs on bread. It's got to be on a bun. So I'm going to say hot dog is not a sandwich.
Okay, there you go.
I'm with you, because if it was a sandwich, you know what they'd call it? A sandwich. It's a hot dog. It's
the hot dog is what it is. I mean, it's been then what it's on. I mean, we don't call it. Say you want a burger.
I'm team hot dog.
All right.
I'm team hot dog on this.
Okay.
One. You got another? Go ahead.
Yeah. Mike wants to know, what player that you face had the best smack talk game.
Nobody ever really trash talked me, but I always
because you were whooping them. That's
a bad one to smack talk.
I always liked Terrell Suggs because I always thought he was funny when he would talk. I would hear him talk to the receivers and the tight ends, and he would talk to the line a little bit, but he was funny about it. It wasn't like malicious. Yeah. He was just trying to have a good time out there.
Do you ever talk on the field?
Not really. I was really quiet. I was the guy that liked to help him up and say, "Hey, how's your family, bud?" Because you want to sort of get on their good side. I
think the most
you want to let the sleeping bears sleep.
He's the Andrew Luck of offensive line, because whenever he gets
praise him.
Oh, that was a great hit.
Yeah,
man.
great
really
job, man.
The most silent person I ever played against was Anthony Munoz.
Really,
and the best as well. But I mean, didn't say a word, and then just blocked the hell out of you.
All right, Dave has a question that I think a lot of fans feel leading up to Super Bowl 52. Are players getting tired of the Patriots' dominance?
I would say universally around the league, everybody hates the Patriots because they're tired of seeing them win everything all the time. And I think the fans are the same way. I think secretly I'm happy they're there in the Super Bowl so I can cheer against them. But we are, as players, we have passion and compassion, I would say, empathy for like the Jacksonvilles, the Clevelands, the teams that haven't been there, that have great fan bases, and we feel like they deserve it because there's a lot of people in the AFC that would like to be in the Super Bowl, and we're tired of seeing the Patriots always there.
But you have to respect on some level the length of this dominance they've been able to do.
Oh, you absolutely respect it.
Yeah.
Absolutely respect it, but that doesn't mean you have to like it.
That's the delineation. You got another one there?
Well, somebody wants to know how you'd have done pass blocking against me, but that's not even a fair question to ask.
Did you pass rush? I thought you were just in there on goal line situations
there
to fall over.
No, he has 9 sacks. I have
10?
9.5.
9.5.
I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Over under 9.5.
No.
And how many snaps?
I have 11.5 career sacks in 9 years of play. I like to call that consistent.
That's right.
Okay? I agree.
Excellent.
A little over one a year. I was a run stopper, as they say.
You know what you were you, and that's all any of us can be, my friend.
You were the best version of yourself.
Here's the biggest difference of Joe and I. So I got to played 9 years in the league, started about half my games, so it was
the biggest difference between you. It's Pro Bowls, right?
Well, no. The fact that I played 9 years, it was fun. I enjoyed myself, got to start half the games, and then I move on. Joe was going to walk into the Hall of Fame, obviously, and one of the biggest differences, most end their career my way, where. Why did you retire, Mike? Nobody called anymore. Joe is going to get to decide when he wants to retire. It was basically decided for me whether I was going to retire.
Some people are retired.
Yeah.
They don't choose to retire.
The league retired
They
me.
are retired. There is a difference.
Exactly.
Real quickly, Rick wants to know, how many Brinks trucks do my Seahawks need to pay you to convince you to come to protect Russell Wilson?
It depends on if they're filled with gold bars or if they're filled with $100 stacks.
Okay, so
I would say 4 gold bars, probably 12 dollar stacks, $100 stacks.
Seattle, he's put it out there for
you.
Seattle, he's put it out there for you.
I mean, you have the richest owner in the NFL.
All right, real quickly, my daughter, who, as I said hello to you. She wants to know, is a tater tot in the French fry family?
I thought that was a good one this morning, and that kind of goes along with the hot dog one. And I would say a tater tot is its own member of the universe because it's so well liked. It's convenient to put in your pocket to save for later.
Right.
But I don't think you would do that with a French fry. So I'm going to say tater tot is sort of its own beautiful creation.
There you go.
A hot dog is a hot dog, not a sandwich, and a tater tot is a tot. It's not a fry. We get to the hard-hitting stuff.
Yes, we do.
On Golic and Wingo. Joe, I'll see you later on today on NFL Live.
Go talk football somewhere else.
Coming up, a former Eagles defensive back that played in the Super Bowl. My road dog, Herm Edwards, joins us next. Coming back. Stay with us.